Oh, welcome back to episode properly announced number 69 of FinalBossTV, your WoW endgame rating show. This is going to be the after show live open Q&A with our two awesome Boomkin guests today. We have Naguura and Bologna, the meat purveyor himself. There we go. Hello, welcome back. And chat room is right there too. Oh, right, damn it, right there. Chat room's right there. Okay, cool. Got it. We got there. I got the right episode title this time. There we go. We're good. Did I do it? I did it. Okay.
Good job.
So if you guys had...
Damn.
That was like that week. That was like good. That was like a pat on the back. Good job, Bay. You've been doing this for a year and a half. Good job. Good job. All right. If you have any questions for our guests, you can tweet at FinalBossTV on the Twitters, or of course you can ask us in chat right now, and we'll be scoping through chat and everything like that. I think I'm enjoying the no co-host for a DPS episode because they're all so different, and I like having the chat room up here. For tanks and for healers, I have a co-host option, so just so if you guys like that or not. I think with DPS, there's more people that play DPS in the world, not to like, you know, downplay healing and tanking, but they're more proportionally DPS than the other two. So probably better if I just host it myself and get through all this notes. But if you guys have questions, please feel free. I think there was a question that came in on Twitter yesterday, maybe? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, well, I guess that was one. Came in from Team Think Tank. Was wondering why there is like zero relevant theory crafting going on. He has to bug his Moonkin buddies in-game for real conversations. I guess is the only place that Moonkin theory crafting happens is the MMO Champion forums. That it? You guys don't have like a place, really.
I'm pretty guilty of not being particularly active in the community, but I plan on changing that.
Well,
I know that
you're on the show now, damn it!
Well,
all right?
yeah,
get in
yeah.
there.
Well, I've already started changing.
All right, exactly.
If you go to like the MMO forums, or if you go to the actually official WoW forums, I know usually there's helpful people there. I know Sios typically responds to pretty much every post. So
yeah, no, it's Sios and Lappy, right? Or Lappy. Got to pronounce that A in the end. I mean, they're pretty in that realm. Because it's different, because certain classes and specs, and that's sort of like a Final Boss side thing, is that eventually the Firelord's favorite page on the new reworking of the website is going to be a place that you can go if you're looking for a community to look for. It'll be listing every single relative spec or class community on the internet that is, you know, a healthy one. Like it'll link to Rogues for Ravenholt, it'll link to DKs for Son of a Lich, it'll link to priests and paladins and relative people that have a place to go if you need a place to look at. Sadly, Sentry Totem closed its doors recently due to just budgeting and time and whatnot, and that's sort of a big blow to the community, I think. So I'll have to figure out where everyone is going to be to funnel people, and I'll help you with that. Don't worry, it'll come to the website soon. What's your opinion on how much better warriors are than druids? Is that even a question?
he's our DPS warrior.
Yeah. That's an inside joke. Fair enough.
Well. He's just mad because I beat him on boss damage on every fight. That execute can't save him from his shitty play.
Right. Lappe. Yeah. Whatever. It's Lappy. All right. I'm American. It's an E. All right. No. Yeah. I was thinking. I think only the BattleNet forums are kind of hit and miss. I guess the MMO Champion place for Balanced Druid is pretty damn good. Fair enough.
Hamlet used to do a lot of stuff for Moonkins, and he was really active. And he did also the RAF calcs, the spreadsheet for Moonkins and for Restorator. But I think he doesn't do that much anymore. So it's kind of sad about that because it was really helpful to actually use his spreadsheets.
Just make Sios do more work.
Just yell at him more.
Here, new 6.1 alchemy trinket, yay or nay? They just swapped it from mastery to versatility. It's still a big int proc. What do you guys think of the new upgraded alchemy trinket? Because it goes to versatility, which is poo, but the int is gigantic.
Yeah, the int proc is pretty big.
Yeah. Would it still be worth it if you're an alchemist if you don't have like a BRF? Because they're gonna go to 6-8. What eye level they got? Stage 4 is 680.
Is it? It might be.
Or is
It's
it even?
675.
I don't think it's 675. I don't know if
It might be
chat-
680.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you weren't at like the forefront of high mall and whatnot, and you don't have mythic high mall trinkets, then chances are, it'll be an upgrade.
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a really important question for both of you. I'll go to Naguura first on this one. What is the most FPM you've ever achieved? Flaps per minute.
I'm actually a trader and I use the glyph of stars.
Oh!
So I never
Jeez.
flapped.
Oh
What a
no!
So
Yeah.
sadly there's 0.
Oh my goodness. How about you,
It's a-
Bologna? How about you?
It's a DPS increase. I don't know why you wouldn't.
What's your FPM, Bologna?
My FPM is just it's got one of those infinity signs next to it.
Oh,
I'm just
really?
always yeah, I'm always flapping. Actually,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh.
I can flap infinite times per minute.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let me see. Do you feel that Moonkins fit a specific niche or niche too strongly or too weakly? Do you agree that this kind of design where performance is heavily dependent on fight type? From Krithos in chat. I mean, sort of an answer for me first. Like, Enhanced Shaman single target is meh. Our cleave is really bad, but our AoE is godly. I guess, do you feel that Moonkin fit a niche, maybe? Is that fine? Naguura, what do you think? I mean,
I think it's Moonkin is pretty good overall. Like the only really bad thing for Moonkins is burst AoE on a stacked up spot. That's like a lot of RA classes are way better than Moonkins at that. And what else? Yeah, if there's like, for example, on Margok, the ad spawning in the normal phase and the aberrations, you kind of don't have any cooldowns for this, and you can't really save something. You can't decide in which eclipse you're going to be and how much energy you're going to have because your eclipse bar just moves the whole time, and you don't really want to use Astral Communion to get to a specific thing because you're going to lose too much DPS doing that. So if there's like these ads like living for like, let's say 10 to 30 seconds and they have to die fast, then you're not really flexible in doing something like bursting them or something. You can just continue your normal rotation kind of, and you actually don't deal a lot of damage with that. Like for example, mages or shadow priests and stuff like that can actually save up something, like can save orbs or do stuff like that to burst them down fast. But Moonkins don't have stuff like that. They only have like the big burst every 3 minutes, but after those cooldowns, you just have constant damage. So you actually, stuff like that is bad for Moonkins.
Anything to add to that, Meat Purveyor?
Just kind of hit the nail on the head there. Moonkins are really strong at sustained cleave or sustained AoE. That's why Moonkins like top the meters on trash, because no one really likes this tier's trash, and it lives forever, and you can just starfall it the entire time. But I think Moonkins have a pretty good niche in single target. We're not like super top of the pack, but we're up there. I mean, I think we're like right below like arcane mages and like warriors. I think.
Yeah.
Execute phase is so strong.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Yeah, I think it's weird because there are sort of like this trifecta of DPS specking right now, where either you're really good at AOE, so there's AOE, there's cleave and cross dot, and there's single target. And before, when Windwalkers, before they got buffed, nerfed 17 times rather, they were good at all 3. But normally a class is usually good at 2. Right? You're never good at all 3, because that's a problem. That means you're like the alpha class, you just bring them all the time. Most people are good at 2 aspects of that. And like, I think Shadow Priest, when we get to that episode, have been hit the hardest, because now their AoE is dreadful, their cross dot is meh, but their single target now is amazing. Whereas that's the exact opposite it was in Mists. Their AoE was awesome, cross dot was awesome, single target was shite. So it's funny how that works. I don't know.
I guess I like that because if there would be like one class that's good at everything,
Sure.
then you just use it on every single boss, right? And you
Yeah.
don't really need to swap around. You can just have whatever, let's say 6 mages. If they're good at
Yeah,
everything, then
pretty much.
why not bring 6 mages, you know? Because they have good
Yeah.
survivability as well, good movement. Like, so there's pretty sure it's good that some DPS classes are good at something and others are good at something else. So you
Right.
can balance it out.
Hashbringer wanted to know about how good Moonkin off healing without a DPS loss is. Granted, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, but you don't have Tranquility anymore. So I guess what do you even have for your off healing options? Are like you can rejuve spam, or you can remove Cenarius, or you can Nature's Vigil. I mean, obviously you have Ysera's Gift up all the time if you want to choose that. That's going to equal up to a lot of healing over the course of a fight. But what do you take, Bologna? Do you do Dream of Cenarius, or do you do Nature's Vigil? What do you?
I've been taking Nature's Vigil for actually everything.
Right.
Maybe a fight where Nature's Vigil wouldn't be so good is something like Tectus. You might want to take Heart of the Wild if your guild is having trouble staying alive during the Tectus upheaval, but then you might as well just continue DPSing Tectus so he dies during the upheaval.
If you Heart of the Wild, what do you do with it? Just rejuve spam?
Yeah, probably rejuve spam.
Okay.
So something like Imperator would be pretty good, but the amount of healing that you net over like a 14-minute fight from Nature's Vigil would probably be more than 2 uses of Heart of the Wild.
That's the problem with Heart of the Wild is that it's so powerful, but it's a 6-minute cooldown, and most fights you get 1.
Well, if
Yeah.
you wanted to use it for like more utility, I think on our Primordius rekill back in Intent, our Blood Decay died, and I went Heart of the Wild Bear Form, and I taunted 3 of the black ads as they came out, and I just sat there and I tanked them until the boss died. So
Sure.
you can you can have that utility with Heart of the Wild.
Oh no, absolutely, you totally can. That's really situational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
it's also more of an oh shit thing too, you know. Like
right,
you can't, except for like I think Blood Legion pulled it off really well on Empress. I think that's what they were really proud of. They had all their Moonkins go Heart of the Wild, and they tanked ads in the intermission for Vengeance.
Oh.
Yep. And I think they got world first on that.
They did. That's their only U.S. world first in a long time. Was Empress. Yeah. So then I guess too. Naguura, are you Nature's Vigil proponent for having to help off heal?
I use Nature's Vigil every fight now. Yeah.
Right.
It's really good. On most fights, you can just use it on cooldown, like for example on Butcher, because there's constant damage the whole time. And it actually heals quite a lot. Is that, I think in like an average fight length, like 5 to 6 minutes, you heal probably like 2 million, maybe a little bit more with Nature's Vigil. So that's pretty good.
Right.
It's nothing like huge where you would say, we need a Moonkin here because we need more healing. It's not like that, but it helps.
Okay, fair enough. I'm being told by RockDK on Twitter that there is actually a Moonkin IRC, which is #Moonglade on QuakeNet. However, it's very empty. There are a bunch of balanced Druids in chat right now that want to go spam the or to flood into the Moonkin IRC and sort of build an awesome little place there. And that's what happened with Son of a Lich and the Acaris IRC for Death Knights. It's great. That place is flooded all the time. So that's a good thing to know. Appreciate the little tidbit there. L Pope 1345 wants to know about, would you consider Wrath at the start of your burst, getting there with Astral Communion with the 4 set, as you can spam Wrath to get CA back up again ASAP. Obviously less burst, but could benefit you overall. I guess because you would technically get more CA? No? Not good? I saw you shaking your head. No?
Nah, pretty sure.
No?
That's not going to be worth it, no.
You would lose so much damage in your burst by casting Wrath instead of Starfire. I mean, if Wrath and Starfire did the same amount of damage, then that'd be a good idea because you can get more Wraths off faster. But Starfire's damage way exceeds Wrath's.
And also at the pool, you're gonna have so much haste that you're gonna be global cooldown with Wrath, so you're gonna actually lose haste if you cast Wrath the whole time.
That's true. So. That's true. With the 2-piece, you're adding the 12% less cast time on it, plus Bloodlust, plus
Trinkets,
Berserking,
if you're a troll.
Shards of Nothing.
Yeah. I guess I didn't ask you that during the main show. Since you're both trolls, what's the optimal Boomkin if you're Alliance, race-wise? Would it be Night Elf?
I think it's Vorgin.
Oh,
At least
really?
it used to be, but I'm not completely sure how it is now.
I mean, a
What do
dog
Worgens
turning
get?
into a turkey is really cool in and of itself. That's fair. But is it
What do
actually...
Worgens get for their racial?
Worgen is the, oh my goodness, it's the static passive crit, right? Is it the crit? Or the
So
haste?
I think crit
they both get
damage.
haste? Oh,
I
is it
think.
crit damage? No,
I
I
think
thought
so.
dwarves get crit
Dwarves
damage.
are crit damage.
Yeah. Dwarves and Tauren are crit damage. I
Then it
think
might be just crit.
new night elves is what, crit at night and haste during the day? Something like that? 1% for each?
Looking at Worgen, actually, it says 1% shadow and nature damage. It's called... No, that's reduces damage. That's the reduces shadow and nature damage taken. So viciousness is 1% crit at all time for Worgen.
So they're both 1% to a stat.
Right.
So I guess personally I would just go with aesthetics. I think we both would go female night elf just because of the jumping.
Probably would.
Oh, no.
They're
Yeah.
adorable.
No, yeah. Yeah, haste at night, crit in the day for night elves. Which I guess
So-
is flavorful, but that's honestly kind of obnoxious. But what?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, if you only raid at night, I guess it doesn't matter that
Correct.
it's 1% haste every time you raid. So
Right.
Well, doing progress in a hardcore guild.
It would change because
yeah,
you're gonna raid
yeah,
a
if you're in
long
method.
time.
You raid all day.
Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Let's see. Catch up with chat real quick here. We got a couple more minutes for questions. How do you feel about the high variance on ranged class mobility and how it affects assignments for handling mechanics? Hunters, being obviously outliners, often selected to do everything. That's their job now because they can move and cast. That's their penance. While Moonkin not getting involved as much. That doesn't really come down to high variance in range class mobility. That comes down to the fact that Moonkin have higher HP than most casters if they glyph it, but they only have a cooldown. It's 20%. It's kind of awful. They're not a warlock. They're not a hunter. Deterrence is way too powerful. I mean, have you guys done any personal responsibility stuff like that in this tier at all? Starts laughing. Look at you.
Well, again, our Prot Warrior and I are raid leading, and we're GMs, so we kind of usually take a lot of the personal responsibility for ourselves, just because I guess we trust ourselves. You know, I don't really plan on messing up mechanics.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's really fight dependent. When you look at something like Brackensport, it's okay to send your Moonkins off to do Flamethrower because their dots and their Starfall are going to benefit so much from it, and you can Starfall and dot while you're not underneath the boss. You know, whereas hunters usually have to, well, they usually have to be in range for their abilities, you know. But as far as like Margot go, you usually send your mages and your hunters to do like the kind of bitch work mechanics.
Yep.
Just because they have the personal cooldowns to deal with it, whereas we don't, like you said.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess that's probably fine in a certain way. That's sort of again, it's a team effort. 20-man Mythic is, which I've harped on multiple times before on previous shows going into Warlords, because Blizzard ability pruned and because they lost 5 people from the highest echelon of raid content, you are looking at having lots of personal responsibility that you have to shuffle around your 20-man roster. Yeah, it's a team effort to defeat content. It's not like, oh my god, I can cleave so hardcore, I'm going to top the damage meters and rank. That doesn't matter. Team effort to kill things, and because they sort of made classes easier in the rotations, because the snapshotting is sort of gone for almost everybody, that now you can focus on making encounters more demanding, more challenging, more mechanically, like intricate. And that's what we're seeing right now. Heimdall is the very tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of people are going to be really like, what is happening? Blackrock Foundry is a lot, I want to say better, because I'm excited for it. But there's a lot more going on there.
There's a lot more personal responsibility. I think there's a lot less group stacking and a lot more
right.
Actually paying attention to your own things.
Yeah, exactly. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-boo. Let's see. Mythic, you mean Mystique? Right. So I guess I can take a question. It's my show, damn it. Arctic Beaver 97 wants to know what's the difference between AoE and cleave. So cleave falls into the cleave cross dot category, where a cleave fight is Brackenspore. A cleave fight is Twin Ogron. That's like the epitome of a cleave cross dot fight. There's 2 targets, they're up for the entire fight. An AoE fight is phase 3 on Tectus. And a cleave phase of him is phase 2. That's cleave usually only determines a small number of targets, usually 3 or less with a boss. Like Boomkins, you guys benefit from cleaving with Starfall on 2 targets. It's a DPS gain. If that ad dying matters, otherwise you single target the boss.
Yeah, if the ad's not really worth, like if you don't really have to swap to the ad like the
Right.
Imperator ad in the first phase, it doesn't really need to die.
Yes.
So there's no point in starfalling it or swapping to it.
And that there's outliers in that. You can break down the cleave fights to like cleave fights that you have to actually kill the stuff fast, like Brackenspore. You want to cleave and cross dot down the spore shooters or the mind fungus or whatever. But say on 4th phase Imperator, when you're on Cho'Gall, the Pale Orcs don't need to be AoE'd or cleaved down really. The tanks can kill them. That's why it's a trap. Yeah, and Sios, is correcting with that, and just adding on to that. Cleave is 2 to 4, AoE applies Law's Group 5+. And AoE though, there's numeric stacking persistent AoE like Beast Lord Darmak, where there's always things to AoE, but again, kind of a trap. Doesn't have to die immediately, so you don't have to AoE it. Whereas I can't even think as AoE phases say on the hands boss on Kromog, where you want to AoE down all those hands so you're not all clamped up. But that's burst AoE. That's not long-standing AoE. That's like it's dead in 8 seconds.
Yeah, but if there's enough mobs, then it'll still be worth it to starfall. But again, those are priority ads, so it's something that you would want to starfall, like the spore shooters on Brackenspore.
Yep. So there's lots of little sort of.
It's hard to like gauge ad importance. Like at what point do you say this ad isn't going to live long enough to make Starfall worth the cast, but should I precast Starfall just so it dies faster anyways, even though it's a DPS loss?
Yeah.
It's a weird thought.
And that depends differently too on your guild.
Yeah.
Because at the top end of the world, players realize what AoE and what cleave and what cross dot is what actually matters. And if it doesn't matter, they don't do it because it's superfluous. The best word for that situation is because it doesn't matter. If it's not going to kill the fight for you, you don't do it. And that comes from dedication, that comes from responsibility, that comes from just knowing what needs to be done on the fight. So, yeah. Toby on Twitter wants to know, so what is Solar Eclipse side actually good for? Naguura, what does Solar Eclipse benefit?
Well, if it was for me, they could make our Eclipse fire, let's say 80% lunar side and only 20% solar.
That's not.
So I can apply my dots. Because really, like, Starfire does just more damage than Rav. It's just how it is. And Starfall is in lunar side, and that's what you want to do. So basically, in solar side, you're just waiting until you get in lunar again. So you can use your Star Surge or use your Starfall. Of course, solar side is good for Sunfire because you want to apply it, and it also cleaves. It's also AoE damage.
Yep.
But yeah, that's really the only thing that's really good in solar, to be honest.
Yeah, is the Sunfire interaction?
Yeah. Actually, I've been looking at a lot of logs for Imperator progression, and a lot of Moonkins actually swap to Sunfall. They take Glyph of the Solstice, the minor glyph, and so that way they can Sunfire cleave the ads as well as Sunfall in that phase. So you can actually make Solar more useful by taking that glyph. Again, it's not good for single target, but it makes your AoE a lot stronger, especially with like the little volatile anomalies or whatnot. Whenever you chose to go AoE those down, sure, you're only going to get 1 or 2 ticks of Sunfall in, but the Sunfall would be better than the Starfall.
Right. It's true. I forgot that minor glyph does exist so that you...
It looks prettier too. and it doesn't have a cast animation, which is terrifying at first.
Really?
Really.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. That is a good point, yeah, too, because if you're already going to be fire cleaving with and then if you take Glyph of Solstice, then you can Sunfall during that phase as well to gain the benefit of your Eclipse bar. Interesting. Hurricane also becomes Astral Storm. Is that a DPS gain too?
Only if you glyph Hurricane to slow the ads. Remember?
That's so. There you go. Take away Moon Warning, put Hurricane on there. You're good to go. Right there.
That's right. You're good to go.
I feel bad. We didn't talk about Hurricane at all during the main show. Have you ever really used it at all in this? Is it just like, is it dead in the water? Is it just not good? Because it's a channeled spell, and you get more benefit of just like making sure you cross out the crap of everything. And if you're channeling, you can't hit another starfall. So like, how is Hurricane dead? Do you use it at all?
Yeah, you use it.
I'm pretty sure there's some point. Someone probably has to do the math on that. But if there's like a specific amount of ads stacked up at one point, and you applied all of your dots already, and you have Starfall up, then it might be worth to cast Hurricane. But I tried it on Tactus in the last phase with 8 ads, and I tried it on Margok, where you AoE down the ads at the end of the transition phase. And in both times, I felt like I watched Kata and I watched my logs, and it's basically less damage than just single target casting one ad instead of hurricaning, because it's just almost no damage at all. It's really bad at the moment. It's probably worse than Mind's here.
I think we'll probably get confirmation from Sios in the chat whenever chat catches up, but I think so long as you have all of your Sunfires out and you have Sunfall or Starfall going, I think we were talking about this like 2 days ago. I think it's worth it on 6 or more targets, so long as you have nothing else to do. Like it is better than hardcasting around like 6 to 8, I think.
Yeah.
But you do need to have all your dots up and stuff like that before you can
right, of course. So you have to do everything else before you even can cast it. Yeah. But however, there's one thing that does come from hurricaning. And what is that again, Bologna? That's
well, there's this weird thing that happens when you hurricane where you make this awesome dance. And that every time that you cast Hurricane, you actually have to do that dance in real life.
Do you? Yeah. You want to do it one more time just so chat room knows what you're...
It's this. This is the Hurricane dance. You sit there and you channel Hurricane like a Moonkin. I don't know what troll channel animation is like. Actually, since I've already made a fool of myself, I promised a couple people I would wear this.
Oh, gosh.
I have this awesome hat. And if you want to make it better, it lights up.
What the actual...
I know, right? It's not lighting. There it goes. It's lighting up.
What?
See? Who wants a giant green tentacle light up hat?
What is... I've lost control of my show.
That's fine.
What is going on? Oh, that's amazing.
Courtesy of Busch Gardens.
Awesome. Love it. Hurricane is used on trash when you want to eat your dinner and raid at the same time. I like it. 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 So, Gal, you asked a question. You're repeating a question that Sios wants to know about. That no one seems to like Soul of the Forest. How would you want to change it to make it a more viable choice? I don't usually like asking hypothetical questions because talking to top raiders about like what they would change doesn't really mean anything like that will ever happen. I mean, do you guys have thoughts on Soul of the Forest, or do you think it's in a place that you could actually get around it? We talked a lot during the main show, but do you have an option that you could make it be okay or better?
I think Soul of the Forest should stay a single target talent, and it should be better than Incarnation in my opinion. But I think they should just flat out buff the damage increase to make it better single target for Incarnation, but not too good. So you actually use Incarnation for more targets and Soul of the Forest for one target.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because right now, Incarnation is a damage buff to everything. So on a fight that you aren't only single targeting, you can also get a buff to your AoE, whereas Soul of the Forest is literally only going to affect Wrath and Starfall, right? Or Starfire, right? That's it. That's all it does? Yeah. So it has to be a bonus to single target. And right now, it's just not better. Period. Just numbers thing. butts.
I would like to use that though. It sounds a lot more fun than because when you go back into Incarnation, you have to like save up procs, and it's such a hassle. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Maintenance. It's again the mini games.
Mm-hmm.
Moonkin mini games. That's what all it is. This class is. I could name the episode Moonkin mini games. That's all this is right now. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to add? I'm just checking through chat right now. Will this be on YouTube? Yes, of course it will be. Both the main show and the after show go on YouTube tomorrow by about 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, and all previous episodes are on YouTube already. We also are on iTunes and Stitcher if you want to listen to the audio only version. It's on the website as well. Mark, about your comment about top tier Boomkins. Not every person wants to be on a show like this. So you're
Also, in terms of the top parsing Moonkins, most of the top parsing Moonkins for Butcher are padding.
Scumbagging. Yeah.
And I know we don't. We private log so that no one in our guild pads.
Yeah.
So,
We have private
who
logs
knows?
as well.
Right.
Who knows? We could be top Moonkins.
You could both be. Who
We
knows?
could.
You're not putting yourself in the pool to rank them, so how do you know? It's just a really bad statement to say because you think that everyone wants to be on the show like this, but not everyone wants to be on a show like this. So I have
Dude,
to...
people that pad on Butcher though, ugh, they get under my skin.
No, it's awful.
Like Lorgog from Method. I know he's in the chat right now.
Right,
Just kidding.
right. Or all hunters that time barrage to make sure they're hitting multiple pale orcs where they don't have to do that and they can just take glaive toss and gain DPS on single target fights. Shots fired at hunters.
Oh,
Yep.
get it? Shots fired.
Ah!
Ah!
Dude, so I didn't have that many puns in the episode, so I might as well get it in there. Yeah, guests should totally be those best RNG stats and meter padding people, of course, right? Because numbers mean everything. Exactly. Logs are key. Yeah, exactly.
Here's also another thing, for example, on Mythic Tactus. It's actually a really good fight for Moonkins, and I loved playing it at the start. But now, we in NV actually have a kill time of like 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Holy butts.
And our cooldowns are 3 minutes. So when you use it at the start, it's actually not going to get ready at the end. Like, it's only going to get ready at the very, very end for like 5 seconds or so when almost all the modes are down already. So I actually can't do a lot of DPS on it, but it's just basically impossible because we have so much DPS. If the fight lasts longer in the last phase and you can actually use your cooldowns twice, then you deal a lot more damage overall, obviously.
Right. Interesting. Arcane shots fired, indeed. Well, my glaive toss comment was tongue-in-cheek towards 6-1 because Barrage is getting nerfed. So, RIP Barrage. Yeah, that's weird, too. There's intricate little, like, things you find out about where classes are really good at. And that's what top guilds excel at, because, again, I talked about earlier, you're not going to do certain things in certain parts of fights just because you can. That doesn't necessarily mean lead to winning encounters. So, yeah. Topping the meters actually means very little to top guilds. It doesn't matter. And if you want to rank on fights, you're not going to rank on progression fights anyway. You're going to rank on farm. Then you can scumbag. You can't see me in Skype, but I'm making a really judgmental face. So, anything else before we get out of here? That's about time for us. Alacrios wants to know if the tier 17 two-piece will devalue haste with Euphoria. Wouldn't it be better?
I don't think it devalues haste.
It might devalue haste on your gear, but again, you guys don't know if you're going to be... how haste is going to work in BRF.
I think it devalues Euphoria. I don't think it values haste as a whole.
Interesting. Okay. We went over a lot of that during the main show. If you missed it, you can go back and watch the main show on YouTube. And any other questions? Same thing against Skara Milton. Same thing. We talked about Honorable Hunter Talents have a whole section in the main show. Any fights you think in BRF will be Boomkin Nightmare? Hans and Franz, anyone?
Oh, yeah, Hans and Franz.
Probably, yeah.
Hans and Franz is a range DPS nightmare unless you're a hunter. So.
Yeah. To hand your life.
When one of the bosses jumps up, he goes immune, right? Like, you can't even dot him while he's up there?
No, it worked. At least it worked on the PTR a few
Okay.
days ago.
That's good
As
then.
Starfall hits, and you can also reapply your dots. You can actually also cast on the guy who's up, but you have to be in 40 yards range because they either jump on the left side up or on the right side up.
But they don't
So
go
you have to
immune?
move.
They don't go immune? Really?
That's good if they don't
Yeah.
go immune, though.
Right.
That gives us more to dot.
Sure. That's fair. And if you're kiting away from the other side of the room, though, and the boss jumps on the right side, you're on the left side of the room because of the RNG of the platforms, and you can't hit him anyway, so...
Yeah.
Huh. Ah, the sea is silent. Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. Oh, Bear wants to know if Stellar Flare will eventually become better with an increased haste availability or the dead talent because bot working on encounters. Honey Bear, we went over Stellar Flare a lot in the main show. I think both of them don't like it, and it won't be good. They're both gonna just.
It might be good, but
Uh,
I just say hopefully not.
hopefully not.
If they keep buffing
We'll
it the way they will, I guess it'll eventually be good, but...
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty then, it's button time. The second round again. Boop. There it is. Thank you all very much for tuning in for the after show, little Q&A segment here with our guests. Of course, again, if you do have questions for them, I can tell you where to find them. It's right over here. Naguura was right there on twitch.tv at Naguura with 2 U's. Thank you again for being on the show, Naguura. It was a pleasure. Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Lots of fun. Do you take a lot of questions during your live stream? They can bug you there, I assume?
I do. I actually love talking about Moonkin in general with my chat. And if people have questions, you can just always come and ask me anything you want, or even write me messages on Twitch. I'm always gonna answer them.
Nice, fair enough. And of course, NT won't be streaming Mythic Progression, but once you get it down on farm, you'll be back to streaming it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Perfect. The purveyor of meats himself, Mr. Bologna at the real Bologna on Twitch TV. What about you, sir? What are you gonna be streaming?
Mostly League and Hearthstone right now. Gotta do a few updates on my computer before I can stream raids without lagging too much. But
get that fixed so people can ask you questions.
Yeah, but again, if anyone wants to come hang out, I should be streaming pretty much every day. I'll post my schedule on my stream.
Doesn't have to be playing WoW to ask him WoW questions.
Yeah, again, I love talking about Moonkins.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being on the show. Of course, all of our past episodes are on FinalBoss.tv. Everything you need to know is right there on the website. It might be looking funny soon because we're working on updating it all and making it look not like a blog, but an actual website. Yeah, upgrades. Next week again is going to be Protection Paladins or Protection Warriors. Take to Twitter and the YouTube comments. Let me know which class I should bring on the show on Sunday. Granted, it doesn't come down to always that, depending on scheduling. I gotta work on the guests. Follow us on social media on Twitter and Facebook, of course, for updates on who's coming on the show next week. And once you have questions, you can submit them on the Ask a Boss part of the show on the website. Thank you all very much for watching, for behind the scenes. Trust in the tempered seal of fate. I didn't say that on the main show. I am awful today. And have a great week. Have a good reset. Have fun in Blackrock Foundry. And until next week, guys. Flap in real life. Flap it up. Flap. Naguura, please.
No way.
I'm doing it right now. Ray, help me. Oh, you got that? I got that.
I got this.
I can't work with these people. Terrible.